it's not the potential, it's not the suspect's fault that the police may have, put a whooping on him. It's the policeman's fault because the police guy, he overreacted to this guy who wanted to punch him, and he pulled a knife on the cop and swung the knife at him. The cop overreacted when he tased him and then probably shot him in the leg or something. No, that's cop's fault. If the cop wasn't bugging me, well, you were breaking the law. Well, if the man wasn't bugging me, then that cop wouldn't have shot me. So but that cop shouldn't have been shooting me anyway. I'm just saying, it's always somebody else's fault. And of course, if the cop is actually in the wrong, it's not going to be the cop's fault either. Cop says, well, he wasn't listening to me. It doesn't matter who's ever in the wrong. It's never their fault. This is the liberal mantra. It's always somebody else's fault. If the person that gets caught doing the naughty deed, it is never the person who gets caught doing the naughty deed's fault, according to liberal. It's always somebody else's fault. So I don't care if it's a suspect. I don't care if it's a dirty cop. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never the fault or responsibility of the person who's responsible for the action in the first place. That's the liberal mantra. So you know what? I'm surprised that they haven't done it. What the cops should have done was they should have just taken out the cops that were in charge of Freddie Gray. They should have just pranced them out there and made those cops apologize. We're sorry, and all this would have blown over. This should have gone away, according to liberals. It's all they got to do. All you got to do is apologize. This all would have gone. But you know what? The cops are saying it's not our fault. And the people are saying, well, we don't care if Freddie was a criminal. It's not his fault he's a criminal. And President Obama's kind of agreeing. He says, well, this has been going on for decades, man. Decades this has been going on. And those damn greedy Republicans is basically who he was pointing the finger at, while the Prime Minister of Japan was standing next to him. I mean, did y'all see that? Here, we're preparing for the White House is preparing for a state dinner to welcome the Prime Minister of, the leader, the leader of the nation of Japan. And the president has to go on this long, nearly 10-minute diatribe of I had to, sorry, Mr. Prime Minister, but I have to answer it because this is important. This is important. I'm telling you it's important, so it's important because I said it. That's right. Now, if I say that this is important, then this is important. And those cops, just like during my first term up in Boston, they acted stupidly. So I'm sorry, Mr. Prime Minister, but this is important. I have to address this issue in my country. And since you're in my country, you're going to have to stand there and look like a fool while I answer these questions with my 5 points, because I got 5 points here. Or was it 6? I had 6 points, right? Six? Yeah, I got 5.5 points that I have to cover. And one of those points is that this has been going on for decades, and we have to do something to stop it, to stop those Republicans from making this an issue. And, that's what I said. Right. Now, if you watched it, the man paused in between one of, I think it was 0.4 and 0.5 that he was trying to make. He paused for a good 45 seconds while he was trying to think about and somebody looked at me and said, yeah, he's got to be careful what he says here, doesn't he? And I looked at him and I said, yeah. He really does. But don't worry, he's going to be the idiot that he is in this type of atmosphere while on the stump, and he's going to stick his foot in his mouth. And of course he did. Of course he did. Look, you can't change liberal, they're like a tiger. You can't change a tiger's stripes. You can't change a liberal stripes. Liberal is going to be a liberal. If they are a dyed-in-the-wool, socialist, communist, Marxist type of liberal like Obama is, they cannot change their stripes. They're going to be that way till the day they die. It's just the truth. I'm sorry. You know, the man, you know, he was formed in the liberal womb this way. He can't help himself. Now, normally, a real leader, real president, would have briefly addressed the issue, would have said something like this: "This is very important. We need to find out more about what's going on over there, and we're able, we will give them assistance if the governor and mayor of Baltimore ask for our assistance. We'll be more than happy to give them assistance and help them out. We'll give them any kind of assistance that they need in order to bring any certain perpetrators to justice. We will handle that." All right, now I have to, as the President of the United States, I also have to, welcome our guest here this evening, from Japan, and that we're talking about some important issues between our two countries too. Does any questions on that kind of thing? No, the man just made the Japanese Prime Minister stand there looking like a toad on a stool. Whatever, toadstool. Toadstool, toad on a stool, toadstool. Yeah, I'm sorry. See, I can apologize. I'm sorry. That was a bad joke. I'm sorry. Well, if you don't laugh sometimes at this stuff, folks, you are going to cry. But look, and you know something? I'm going to say it again. I told you this was going to happen. And that there are people out there who are accepting the consequences that are happening. They're accepting it. I don't accept it. I don't accept it simply because they caused it. The left caused it. And now they want to fix something that they broke. That doesn't make any. That's kind of like the real estate bubble and banking crisis. Yeah, the very people that caused it in the first place were the ones that were standing up saying that they were going to fix it. Well, of course they wanted to fix it because they wanted to hide all the screwing up that they did. And so now the governor's going down there into Baltimore to try to run Baltimore over the mayor, who the mayor was just acting. Look, you people of Baltimore, you elected her, so y'all need to stand up and say, yeah, it's your fault for electing this woman. It's your fault. You elected somebody this stupid. I hope you do not reelect her. Liberals, they'll look past that because they'll blame somebody else for it. They'll blame somebody else. Here's a story that I wanted to bring to you last night. Ran out of time, so I'm gonna rewind a little bit. The New York Times story. And here's how the story goes. Getting a speeding ticket is a not feel good moment for anyone, but consider this businessman. He was recently fined about $58,000, 54,024 euros for traveling a modest, if illegal, 64 miles per hour in a 50 mile per hour zone. So in other words, he was doing roughly 14 miles over the speed limit. So for a 14 mile per hour speeding ticket, he was fined $58,000, and that's not a typo. Rima Kuisla. It's Rima, Reima, Kuisla, Kuisla, a Finnish businessman from Helsinki, Finland. He is a millionaire. And in Finland, the fines for more serious speeding infractions are calculated according to one's income. The thinking here is that if it stings for the little guy, it should sting for the big guy too. So it's just now the ticket had its desired effect. Mr. Kuisla, 61, took to Facebook last month with 12 furious posts in which he included a picture of his speeding ticket, and a picture of what 54,000 euros or $58,000 could buy if it were not going to the state coffers. And that's the point. It's going to the state coffers. That's the reason for it. No, I have said, well, the reason why Finland does this is because they firmly believe that, the fine should hurt. The fine should be felt financially, by the perpetrator. And, $100 fine to a rich person is that, they spend more on dinner, right? They probably spend more on flowers every week. So we're going to make it hurt. So they have a sliding income scale of, for speeding ticket fines. If you're a millionaire, you're going to pay $58,000. And look, we might be laughing about this right now, but look, we're not too far from that because we already have sliding income scales for hey, if you want to rent a place to live, I know there are quite a few places around, where I am. In New Hampshire, in certain cities in New Hampshire and Massachusetts, that is on a sliding scale. So in other words, if you earn $30,000 a year, then your rent might be $700 a month. But if you earn $40,000 a year, then your rent's going to be $900. And if you earn $50,000 a year, well, your rent's going to be over $1,000. So in other words, we're already starting to experience that the more you earn, we still have to make it hurt for you. Because you can afford it. Isn't that what liberals always say? Well, they can afford it. You can afford to pay more. Well, just because I can afford to pay more than somebody else, why should I be forced to? That's not equality. Well, yeah, it is, right, because it's not fair. No, it is. You're right. It's not fair that somebody who earns $20,000 cannot rent a $2,000 a month apartment. No, it's not fair. But nobody said that life was fair. You cannot make it fair for this person without making it unfair to somebody else. So the person who earns 60 grand a year has worked their butt off. Maybe they went to college and studied their butt off, got top grades, got a good job. They worked their butt off in the job, and now they're actually able, after a lot of years, a lot of hard work, they're able to afford this $2,000 a month apartment that they really love and really want. And in comes this person earning 20 grand a year because they work at McDonald's and they work at CVS. And they didn't bother going, they dropped out of school and they're just hanging out. And now they waltz in and they can get this $2,000 apartment for like $500 a month because of the sliding scale. Now, who's that being fair to? There's no such thing as fairness when it comes to finances. There's not. There's only fairness in the law, but fairness in the law also means that you treat everybody equally, and that is not treating everybody equally. That's saying, well, some people are more equal than others. Remember when I told you that yesterday and last week? Animal Farm. Some people are more equal than others. So this guy is more equal than many other people in Finland. So in order to make it hurt, he's going to have to pay a lot. And some people might think that this is something new. Well, this is not new. We're already doing stuff like this in this country. But we just don't. We're accepting it. We're beginning to accept it. And you know what comes next? Well, you think, well, that's a good thing, Rod. This person, they get to experience in a good neighborhood and a good apartment building with good neighbors and all that kind of stuff. And they get to see how they're supposed to act, Rod, and how to be human and how to be a good neighbor and all this kind of, they get to see the upper crust and and it'll rub off on them. They'll want to be that way. But at the same time, they're conditioning you to accept such crap. So when the time comes, they can also decide to put penalties on a sliding scale, much like Finland. Oh, yeah. If you think that, putting somebody else in a sliding scale apartment is the end-all, be-all of the liberal agenda, look, they hate rich people, except, other liberal rich people, but especially Republican rich people and conservative rich people, and they want to take their money. Plain and simple. Yeah, don't doubt me, folks. Never doubt me.
Daenerys.